Like Magnus, I would say that when I was young, especially, like I hated losing. It was like so unacceptable to lose, and you have to be to be really good at chess. I think to some degree, you have to be a little bit psychotic. And basically, when you lose games, you cannot accept defeat. You just can't accept it. You just go back, you study more, you play more. You just don't accept it.
I'm Magnus Carlsen from Norway. I'm the world chess champion. I've been that since 2013. I watched the Queens Gambit with great interest, and I'm here to take you through some of the clips and some of the chess from the series. The chess stuff is incredibly well done.
Actually, what is this position? Wait, 1 second. Let me go back.
The chess.
This is what is this position? This is a bishop on g5. This is oh, this is a pretty standard Sozin variation of the Najdorf here. This I know this very well because it's bishop d7 line. You see how there's a black bishop in front of the black queen. This is a line that Vishwanathan Anand he played in Tata Steel in a game against Dmitry Reinderman, whatever his name is, who is a Dutch grandmaster, I believe, in about 2000, if I'm not mistaken, or 99. No, I did not stream this. It's a different video. But yeah, so Anand had a game against Dmitry Reindeerman, and it was like there's b4 knight a4 bishop d7. So Pogo. I know this because I played this line for a while. After I saw the Vichy game, I started playing this whole b4 bishop d7 line. Let's keep going.
Stuff is incredibly well done. It's also a captivating series in general. Just by the fact that I was watching it with my.
However, I will say that move is done incorrectly because basically Beth Harmon does the Ali Reza here. She takes the knight and pushes the knight off the board. Again, that's not how you're supposed to do it. What you're supposed to do is you just snap the knight and put the bishop there. You just snap the knight and put the bishop there instead of trying to knock the knight off the board. But let's keep going.
By the fact that I was watching it with my girlfriend who doesn't actually play chess, and she found it so captivating, and she was the one who sort of pushing for us to binge it rather than I was, and she doesn't play chess, so I don't have that particular memory of buying a chessboard when I was little. The one instance that I do remember of buying a chessboard about 2.5 years ago, where I simply realized that I don't have a chessboard at home. And so what I did is that I just went down to the local billiards shop, which was about 200 meters from where I lived in Oslo, and I bought some chessboard that they had there, and they were obviously pretty surprised that I needed that.
Yeah, so again, you guys, this one thing that I would say, which is really worth noting, is that a lot of people assume that like us as chess players, we have really fancy chess sets and things like this, and most of us don't. Like for much of my life, I've never had like a physical board. I think when I was really little, what I did have was I had a lot of magnetic chess sets, so it's like they don't really exist anymore because obviously computers have rendered them you know, obsolete. But I would have like chessboard, these small little pocket chests that I could take out of my pocket and make moves on. So that's what I did have a lot of when I was younger. I myself actually, I don't think I can't recall ever buying a chess set either, frankly. I mean, I've ordered boards, but I've never gone to a shop and actually bought like a proper chess set. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's people assume that as top chess players we have I know behind me, but I'm just saying like I have one chess set behind me, but like I feel like I've always had like one chess set maybe with me, but I've never like I don't really. Yeah, I have a chess set right behind me, as you guys can see. But yeah, I don't. If I had money, I'd buy an overly fancy set because it's rad AF. I mean, I don't mind fancy chess sets, but I just need it. Wesley has a very fancy chess set. Okay, that makes sense why Wesley does. But I've never really done it either. So I totally get what Magnus is saying. I'm the exact same way.
Especially in places where there haven't been too much history of women playing chess, there is certainly a tendency for women not to feel all that welcome, and it's it's been male dominated for so long, and I think a lot of men like want to keep it that way. Girls are just excited about chess and just as good at chess as boys. The imbalance comes partly, it comes a bit later, and it's probably also more of a case of parents pushing boys more into chess than maybe parents of girls don't want to push them into chess because they think that this will not be an environment that is good for their child. So I think there is definitely a lot to work on there, but I think that in principle there sort of the preconditions should be very equal, but unfortunately it has not happened that way at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot that can be said. Actually, let me keep going. Let me keep going.
Understand the sort of skepticism in that you can't just waltz in, tell them you've never played a rated game, you don't have any rating, and you expect to beat them all, like male or female. That would sound ludicrous coming from anyone. Yeah, I think telling her there's no women's section is uncalled for. Like, it's like, you're here, you should be treated like anybody.
Yeah, so what I was going to say, I mean, that's a long topic for another day, but what I would say is that I think at the end of the day, and I've already spoken at depth about this, is you know, the reasons themselves can be discussed, but it's not like to say that men are smarter than women or anything like that as it pertains to chess. Obviously, is complete nonsense. That's not the case. But what I would say is that for whatever social, economic, whatever reasons it is, a lot less girls stick with chess past a certain point, unlike a lot of boys. So, like, for example, when I think of my childhood growing up, of course it was very male dominated even back then, but when I think about a lot of my contemporaries who were very strong players, like master, international master, all the way up to grandmaster and becoming an elite player in the world, there were so many players who I thought were more talented than I was. They were able to, they played better openings, or, you know, I felt like they had a better grasp of like tactics, all sorts of different things. And at the end of the day, all of them basically didn't make it, and I did make it. Now you can again say maybe I worked harder, whatever, as far as the reasons I did, but I think there were a lot of very talented junior players that I can think of. And so when I think about that, I think that they were all male, and like I made it, probably, you know, hundreds of kids who I competed against did not make it. Then if you think about from a female perspective, there already are a lot less female players, and like even in my case, I'm the one out of like a few thousand who makes it in terms of playing at a national competitive level, and you only have like one or two females to begin with. Then of course the odds are extremely skewed, and it's very, very unlikely. So that's what I would say. Good stream. What did I do? What did I do? Something wrong? I don't understand what you guys are saying, but anyway, let's keep going. All right,
this is definitely the case for most tournaments, still, that they're held in fairly low profile locations. I think chess definitely has a way to go there in the way it's being presented.
Highest rated players in the whole fucking country, and yet here we are at some second-rate university playing on cheap plastic boards with cheap plastic pieces.
Yeah, again, I totally agree with. So this, by the way, just to be clear, this sums up a lot of my childhood. Which is that playing in tournaments, basically you end up playing in these very random locations. It's just one of those things that chess has never had big sponsors outside of the very, very top events, and so this is something that I can completely relate to. I would even say like Magnus. There was some tournament he played in Norway where it was also being played at like a restaurant or like something like that. It was like a restaurant or like university or something, the Norwegian league event, and so chess definitely has had this issue. Speed cubing, yeah, is obviously the same thing exactly. So yeah, I don't know where it was exactly, but yeah, definitely in chess there are a lot of events that have been held in locations like this, and I can completely relate to that. So let's keep going.
Playing on cheap plastic boards with cheap plastic pieces.
Certainly a sort of new world has opened up.
Also, you guys are right. When I played Magnus, we played in a mall. Yeah, when I played Magnus in this Blitz tournament, this BM Blitz tournament, I think it was, in Oslo, we were playing in a mall. So yeah, it's very true. Yeah.
In terms of online serious online chess, the only thing I would be worried about long term is the future of sort of classical chess. The one that Beth Harmon is playing, and that has been considered the most prestigious, where you play games over several hours, because online people don't really practice for these very long games. So long term, we might be sort of raising a generation of players who are much more used to playing speed chess than slower chess. And for the future of the game, I'm not quite sure how that will pan out. But I think overall, chess has done well in these very difficult circumstances that have been.
Yeah, I agree with what Magnus says there too. I think it's very true. I mean, classical chess will always have a role, but also when they talk about the future of classical chess, it's always going to be something that's around. It's only at the very top level that there are fundamental problems potentially down the road, because there are too many draws. But in general, classical chess is completely normal, and it will always be around to some degree. Secondly, classical chess is just not accessible, frankly, as well. So let's keep going.
I cannot stress that enough, that I love the way that she respects the game. She never stops studying. She never stops learning. She never stops thinking that she can do better. I'm somebody who has never been great at dealing with defeats. If you take a survey of the best players to ask them who the worst loser is, my name is going to come up. From my own experience along the time of my career, there definitely have been opponents that I struggled with, and I would say that the best example is Anand, who used to be world champion between 2007 and 2013. So when I started out playing at the top level, I struggled a lot against him.
And actually, it's fun. It's interesting that they talk the way Magnus talks about this, and this is where style really matters. You see how Magnus talks about Anand as being the player that he struggles against. Anand is probably, out of all the top players, the player that I felt the most comfortable against. I think out of all the top players, my score against Anand is way better than it is against anybody else. I think against Anand, it's something like, I don't know, someone can look it up, but I have something like 9 wins, and I think I have 1 or maybe 2 losses against Anand with a bunch of draws. So that's why style really matters. It's like, for example, for me, I have a really good score against Anand. Yeah, I know I have a good score against Maxime, but I mean, nothing against Maxime. I love him. He's a great player, but Maxime is not in the same conversation as Anand. I mean, with all due respect. I mean, Anand is a 5-time world champion, one of probably the top 5 greatest players of all time, I would say. So with all due respect to Maxime, I mean, Vichy is I mean, he's a legend. I'm not trying to be rude to Maxime, but I'm just saying that's the reality. So that's what I was saying though. Like, so for example, like I mean, obviously we can talk, everybody knows that I don't have a good score against Magnus, but like the way that Magnus says Vishu or Anand was a player that he struggled against, and then for me, Anand I did really well against, shows how stylistically there are always a lot of differences between the players. So let's keep going.
It's very, very relatable, the despair she feels towards the end of the game, where
Oh, one other thing I was going to say, sorry I didn't get to this, is that this point about being a bad loser is very true. Like I think there's a Pete Rose statement. It's something like, or what's it? It's like, show me a bad loser and I'll show you a loser. Maybe that's not Pete Rose. Who said that? Who said that? So isn't there some statement like that? There's some saying like, Oh, it's show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser. It's Vince Lombardi. Okay, I knew there was some statement, but yeah, I agree 100% with that saying. It's like, yeah, show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser. Vince Lombardi. Totally agree with that. Like Magnus, I would say that when I was young, especially, like, I hated losing. It was like so unacceptable to lose, and you have to be really good at chess. I think to some degree, you have to be a little bit psychotic, and basically, when you lose games, you cannot accept defeat. You just can't accept it. You just go back, you study more, you play more. You just don't accept it. So definitely something that I agree with 100%. All top players, throw your mouse. Yes, exactly. But all top players, some might try to deny it, but there are no top chess players who did not get really angry about losing some games. Like, you have to be really angry. And I'm not saying you should be respectful at the board is one thing, but off the board, I'm sure there are players who go back to the room and they just bang the wall or bang their head or do all kinds of different things. So let's keep going.
You know you've been outplayed. You know there are no chances. You just you're just desperately looking for something, anything, any chance that you can possibly find. Whenever you lose, like, you start questioning
exactly
everything, basically. It's really so unpleasant. It's such an unpleasant feeling to lose, especially like if you
just subscribed.
If you feel like you made mistakes that you could have avoided. For me personally, I just try to channel that anger into the next game. I do like the fact for her that
I
losing
totally
is not
agree with
normal.
this.
It's not something that just
right. And this is kind of, it gets what Magnus says. I totally agree with. It's like losing is not normal. It's not something that just happens. Of course it doesn't. You should always win. You should never lose. I mean, why should you accept losing? Why should you accept mediocrity or being bad? You just shouldn't accept it. I mean, you just should not accept it. Just win. I mean, why does, I mean, society tells you have to accept losing. I mean, no, you should just be the best and win. So I totally agree with what Magnus is saying here. Completely. I agree. I mean, come on. I mean, seriously. That's just such a weak mentality to have. It's like, oh, it's just a game. Losing is normal. Like, you got to learn from your losing. I mean, no, just go and study and just win. Anyway, let's keep going.
It happens. Like, you accept it and then you move on. When you lose, you have to make sure that it doesn't happen again, because it's an awful feeling, and the motivation has to be to avoid feeling that again.
Don't tell.
Mr. Scheibel was certainly an important mentor, but most of all, I think he was just encouraging her to study, and that she would be the best teacher herself. My father taught me the rules, and as I progressed, he certainly taught me a bit, although still mostly I was studying on my own. But later on, we were at a tournament, and we were going through one of my games, and my father made a comment about one of my moves. He suggested something else instead, and one experienced player there, he was just passing by. He just told my father that what he was teaching me was wrong. My father was kind of spooked by this, and after that he pretty much just left it up to me.
Oh my gosh, that is so that's hilarious. Like, dude, you're just wrong. Dude, shut up. You're just wrong. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. That's really funny. That's actually really funny. His father got clapped. No, of course it wasn't me. I assume it was probably like Seaman Agustin or one of the other Norwegian GMs who said this. But yeah, it's like, that's just hilarious. Let's keep going.
He felt that it was much better that I figure it out on my own than he give me poor advice.
The truth of it, child. You're astounding.
I hope you guys enjoyed the clips and me talking about it. Hopefully you are more ready now than ever to go out beating your friends or whoever you are playing at chess. So take care and enjoy the game.
Yeah, that's very, very good. Very well done. I mean, I agree with almost everything Magnus says here, because it's very true. Like, these things about learning, you have to figure out the right ways to learn. And for everybody, it's a little bit different. You do have to be very cognizant of what works for you and what doesn't work for you, but then also this notion, like, not accepting failure, not accepting losing. And it doesn't mean that you have to get like super angry. It means you don't accept it. You keep, like, you have determination, you keep focusing, you keep going better. And this is why also what I would say is like in regards to like XQC, for example, like the way that he keeps pushing forward and he keeps playing the game, he has this huge love for it. Is that's really what epitomizes getting good at chess. It's just the ability to keep moving forward, using those losses, having the determination, and never stopping and never stop having the belief that you can keep winning. So really, really important. In the meantime, also big shout out to Nidger from Norway. Says, hello, I am deaf and I'm enjoying watching your gameplay and using arrows to explain for me. I do lip reading, but I'm not that good. Getting better though. Your big camera helps me to lip read compared to other streamers. Greeting from Norway. So big shout out to Nitcher. We have made a concerted effort, you guys, on all of our videos on YouTube to add closed captions in English as well. So for a lot of my videos, we've added closed captions. We're going to try to add them to all of them. Say it again, sure, one more time. So, hello, I am deaf and I enjoyed watching your gameplay and using arrows to explain for me. I do lip reading, but I'm not that good. Getting better though. Your big camera helps me to lip read compared to other streamers. Greetings from Norway. From Nitcher. I might be mispronouncing the name, but anyway, yeah. So that's really, really nice to hear, and we are trying to add closed captioning to all of our videos. I will say secondarily,
donated $3. Chess Porn Requiem.
Thank you for that. In regards to that comment, also, that is something that sort of it does strike very close to home for me as well, because my mother is very hard of hearing. She has 2 hearing aids. So the whole struggle with being really hard of hearing or being deaf, I know, like, my mom was trying to learn sign language for a period because there is a chance that at some point down the road she might lose her hearing. So this is definitely something that really it hits very close to home. But big shout out to Nitcher. I'm glad that you enjoy the videos and all we're doing. And yeah, just to think about the fact that I mean, the fact that Nitcher, I assume it's Mel, that he can't. He'll never hear this is, I mean, of course, very, very sad. But anyway, I'm glad that we can do stuff that that we can bring the content that he does enjoy it. So big shout out to Nitcher once again, and I hope you enjoy all the content. You enjoy chess, and we provide you with some inspiration. So hope all is well.